Rob, we watched last night's game. Half of it was on while we were doing the show. Tampa Bay 28, Philadelphia 22. You finally came over from the dark side.
No, I was trying to make some
on
shekels.
Tom Brady.
I needed shekels so I could pay for my trip to Vegas, but it ain't work out. So now I'm gonna have to borrow some money from you.
Unbelievable. There's a part of me that just feels like, had you not put money on Tom Brady throwing 3 touchdowns or more, I think he would have probably thrown 4. But with you putting money on it, it just couldn't happen. And so after 2 touchdowns early, I think in the first quarter,
his first 2 possessions, he got touchdowns.
Yeah, they just rolled over Philly. It looked like he was going to have, 2 in each half. And wasn't meant to be.
No, he did it deliberately to punish me. Tom Brady, somebody gave him the clue to.
He got a text.
Yeah, somebody texted him during
I'm
the
listening
game.
To the Odd Couple.
Yeah, Rob Parker. Can you believe that? That Bacha Galoop, he bet on you. He bet on you. You need another touchdown to help him out.
He said, I'm going to help out Lenny. Lenny Fournette's going to get these touchdowns.
Nah, that ain't right.
Forward. But anyway, Rob, Tom Brady, despite what was a good game last night, good game, not a great game. He had one
not
pick.
a great game at all.
Yeah,
Just good.
Good game. I mean, not bad. He almost had 300 yards, but, it wasn't spectacular. Rob, the thing is, and this is not just with Brady. I think Pat Mahomes is in this lane. It's somewhat Lamar, somewhat. These are guys, Aaron Rodgers, where, Rob, when they don't throw for big yards, and Rodgers isn't throwing for a ton of yards this year, but he's still having very good games. But when these guys don't hit 300 and have 3 TDs, it's like we're surprised. Because guys are throwing it so much and putting up such prolific numbers that that's just the way it is. But anyway, Brady has a big.
But you're right about that. It's just that the numbers are so big all the time now that if you don't get that, you're like, what? He only threw for 240 or 2.
Right.
I just gave you Dak a couple of games ago. He had 188. You wouldn't think that Dak Prescott would have 188 yards in a game, Chris. That sounds like nothing.
Right. So, but Brady, Rob, despite last night not being a spectacular game, is having a spectacular season. He leads the league in yards per game, 344 yards per game. Leads the league in touchdowns. That'll certainly, we would think that would change. He's got 1 game over everybody else. Mahomes is behind him with 16. He'll probably pass him this weekend, but he's got 17 touchdowns. Was 1 behind Mahomes entering last night. Only 3 interceptions. And, Rob, Tom Brady at the age of 44 is on pace to shatter Peyton Manning's record for passing yards in a season. The record for a 16-game season is 5,477. Now, we get it. With 17 games, that gives these guys an advantage.
Yeah,
but Brady,
that's not the same record. Right.
But here's the thing. Brady is on pace to darn near shatter Manning's record in 16 games. He's on pace to throw for 5,654 yards in 16 games. So that would be almost 200 yards more than Peyton Manning threw for. And over 17 games, Rob, Brady's on track. We'll see if it happens to become the first 6,000-yard passer in NFL history. He's got 17 touchdowns. Like I said, leading the league right now. Probably be second in the league by the end of the weekend. Leads the league going into last night's game, Rob. So this is without the extra game. Leads the NFL in attempts, completions, and as I said, yards. Some people, Rob, are saying that not only is this the best season that Tom Brady's ever had, but when you factor in the age and the stats, it is the best season any quarterback's ever had. What are your thoughts?
I don't buy into that. I think that, first of all, it's a different game. The quarterback is protected. I think that even Brady has talked about it. It's totally different for defensive players. And the game has just changed. And Brady has all these weapons around him. This is not a normal team. So it's like an old timers, former stars who had their problems and went somewhere else or retired or came back. Leonard Fournette was a star in Jacksonville, and AB was en route to be in.
Nobody wanted those guys, right?
No, I know, but they had other issues. That's all I'm saying. It's not that they couldn't play; they just had issues. So he's on pace for that through, what is it, 6 games? How many games?
6 games.
Yeah, we'll see how it holds up. I'm not so sure it'll hold up all the way, but
it's going to be hard. I would be surprised if he averages 344 yards.
Yeah, I just
game.
don't. I just don't
he
see
might,
that.
But
Continuing. There'll be some better teams that they'll play, Chris, as you go forward.
Well, only a couple.
Yeah, a couple. But I'm just saying, but that could be the difference in whether or not you break the record or not. Right now, they've had their way with most of the teams that they played. I don't know. Can you give me their schedule?
Well, they've played the toughest part of their schedule.
Did they? Who they?
Yeah. Dallas. I'll get it for you in a moment. The Rams. They've definitely. We looked at that in the preseason, and it was clear. Oh, the toughest part of Tampa Bay's schedule is at the beginning. Right? They got light work. They may stumble and fall here or there, but they got light work coming up. They've played the Cowboys. They played the Rams. So now they got the Bears, the Saints, the Washington football team, the Giants, the Colts, the Falcons. That week 13, they got the Bills. Up until then, you heard it. It's a bunch of
they
also
should win
Rams.
those games, right?
Right, and then they got the Saints again, the Panthers, the Jets, and the Panthers. They could lose 1 or 2 games this year. That's not out of the question. And I'm not going to go to best season ever. It's probably too early to say that, Rob. 6 games. I mean, let's see.
But we saw last year, and I don't know. What was Russell Wilson last year, Chris?
Yeah, but he's he was good. He was good.
No, but I mean, he was the MVP in the first 5 or 6 weeks.
Right.
Rob G, just give us the numbers on what he was lighting it up.
Yeah, I mean, as great as Russell Wilson is, Tom Brady's just different from
No,
Russell.
that's not what I'm saying. I'm just talking about his numbers where he was at that time. And if you looked at it, and he wound up not even getting an MVP vote. I'm just saying,
the numbers.
It's weird. You got it?
So through 7 games last season, remember he trademarked "Let Russ Cook" after this instance. 2,151 yards, 71% completion, 26 touchdowns, 6 picks, and his team was 6-1.
Right. They were. That's all I'm saying is.
Right.
And did he get an MVP vote? He didn't even get an MVP vote. Am I right?
No, he did not.
Yeah. So
here's what I'll say about, because a lot of people would argue it's his best season, and statistically, it looks like it certainly could be. But Rob, I'm gonna say this, and obviously I like Tom Brady, but I don't even think Brady's as good as he used to be. Now let me explain this. He's playing great football. But I said, Rob, in his last year in New England, when they were 12-4, and that was impressive with that team. But I said he can no longer, he's still a good quarterback, but he can no longer carry mediocre wide receivers or mediocre skill position players to Super Bowls or close, which is what he's did for the bulk of his career. But for the years he had Randy Moss, it was just a line of pretty good receivers that he had. Riche Caldwell, Julian Edelman, Deion Branch, Troy Brown, Wes Welker. Welker and Julian Edelman, they put up numbers, but they didn't do it anywhere else. Welker wasn't even very good before he got to New England. But Brady could carry guys like that. And I didn't think he could when he left New England. And I don't think he thought he could either. But he goes, like you said, he is now in a situation, and I'm not taking credit away from him, because with a lot of those same guys, they were 7-9 before him. So he gets credit. He is placing that football and throwing it downfield and spreading the wealth, because AB, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin are all eating. All of them. They all are within like 3-4 receptions of each other. And all got about the same amount of touchdowns. Like, it's amazing how he's keeping everybody happy, not to mention his tight ends and running backs. So he's doing a great job. But my point is this. I don't think if he didn't have that talent, I don't think he'd be doing this. I don't think he'd be doing close to this because, again, he can't carry, and it's no shame. Most quarterbacks can't carry mediocre talent, but so far. But I think he's in a better offense than he's ever been. And he's got better weapons than he's ever had. Yes, he had Randy Moss, but I'm talking about the full complement. He's never had this type of depth. Unbelievable.
What's funny is Jameis Winston led the league in yards the year before, that year before he had the 30 touchdowns and 30 picks. So their offense is about this. Like Jameis, you just said it. They were 7-9. He led the league in passing yards. So I think that Bruce Arians and that offense and the way that they run their offense and they throw the ball a lot, is part of the plan, part of the game plan. You know what I mean, for that organization.
Look, I love the offense. I love watching them because it's so airborne. And they got such great receivers. And Rob,
you remember the old Chargers, Don Air Coryell.
Yep.
You remember the
Dan
coach?
Fouts and those guys.
That was his name, Don Air.
Charlie Jr.
Yep. They had an unbelievable receiving crew.
Right.
And that's when they were throwing the ball. And in the NFL, they were running the ball. And the Chargers were the only team throwing the ball like that.
Right. So, yeah, I just think that Brady is having a terrific year. He's my preseason pick for the MVP, and he's right there near the top at this point. But I want to wait and see before I say best season ever.